What if the company that defines how we measure AGI ends up controlling the race to build it? Today, Google DeepMind made a move that could do exactly that. 3 stories on the board today. Google DeepMind drops a formal framework for measuring AGI progress and opens it up to the crowd. Cursor, the AI code editor everyone in enterprise is quietly standardizing on, is reportedly raising at a $50 billion valuation. And Cerebras, the chip startup with a $10 billion open AI deal, just filed for an IPO. Let's get into it. For years, AGI has been a moving target, conveniently redefined every time a model gets close to the old definition. Google DeepMind is trying to change that. They've published a cognitive framework designed to measure progress toward AGI in structured, testable terms. The framework maps AI capabilities against human cognitive milestones, things like reasoning, memory, planning, and generalization, and proposes evaluations that can track progress on each dimension. To put the framework into practice, DeepMind is launching a Kaggle hackathon, inviting researchers and developers worldwide to actually build those evaluations. That's a smart move. Crowdsourcing the benchmarks means the framework gets stress-tested fast and it builds community buy-in. But here's what matters most. Whoever sets the benchmarks shapes what the industry optimizes for. DeepMind isn't just doing science here, they're doing standard setting. In a field where OpenAI, Anthropic, and others are all claiming progress toward AGI, defining the measuring stick is a form of power. This framework is a bid for exactly that. Cursor, the AI native code editor built by AnySphere, is reportedly in talks to raise more than $2 billion at a $50 billion valuation. Returning investors A16Z and Thrive Capital are expected to lead the round. That number is staggering. For context, $50 billion puts Cursor ahead of many publicly traded enterprise software companies that have been around for decades. So what's driving it? Enterprise adoption. Not developers tinkering on side projects, actual engineering teams inside large companies standardizing on Cursor as their primary development environment. When a tool moves from being a productivity experiment to a procurement line item, the revenue profile changes entirely. That's the shift happening here. Cursor is no longer competing with GitHub Copilot for mindshare among individual developers. It's competing for multi-year enterprise contracts. The valuation reflects the market's belief that Cursor can win that fight. Whether it can hold that position as Microsoft, Google, and others push deeper into AI coding tools is the real question. But right now, the momentum is undeniable. Cerebras Systems has filed for an IPO, and the timing is deliberate. The company builds wafer-scale processors, chips the size of an entire silicon wafer, designed specifically for AI inference at speeds that conventional GPU clusters struggle to match. Before going public, Cerebras locked in 2 deals that function as proof of commercial viability. First, an agreement with Amazon Web Services to deploy Cerebras chips inside AWS data centers, putting them directly in the infrastructure stack that most of the enterprise world runs on. Second, a reported deal with OpenAI worth more than $10 billion. That's not a pilot program, that's a foundational infrastructure relationship with the most prominent AI company in the world. Cerebras is going public with receipts. The IPO is a bet that public market investors will see Cerebras as a credible alternative to NVIDIA in the AI chip race, not a replacement, but a specialist. Fast inference, specific workloads, massive contracts. In a market where NVIDIA's dominance feels permanent, Cerebras is making the case that there's a very profitable lane right next to it. Step back from the individual headlines and a single theme emerges. The AI industry is building permanent infrastructure, not demos, not research previews, actual standards, actual enterprise contracts, actual public markets. DeepMind's AGI framework is an attempt to impose structure on a field that has operated without agreed-upon goalposts for years. That matters because the companies that define what success looks like in AI will have enormous influence over what gets built and what gets funded. Cursor's valuation tells you that enterprise software buyers have made a decision. AI-native development tools are not optional anymore. When a 2-year-old code editor is worth $50 billion, it means procurement teams at Fortune 500 companies are signing multi-year deals. That's not speculation about the future. That's the present. And Cerebras going public with an OpenAI contract and an AWS deployment in hand is the clearest sign yet that the AI chip market is not a one-company story. NVIDIA is dominant, but dominance in semiconductors has always left room for specialists. Cerebras is betting that fast inference on specific workloads is a large enough market to build a public company around. All three stories point in the same direction. The infrastructure layer of AI, the benchmarks, the tooling, the hardware, is being locked in right now. The companies that win these positions in 2026 will be very difficult to displace later. That's the race happening underneath the model releases and the chatbot headlines. So here's the question worth sitting with. If DeepMind gets to define how we measure AGI progress, does that give them an unfair advantage in the race? Or does the field actually benefit from having any standard at all? Drop your take in the comments. If you want sharp, no-hype AI coverage every day, subscribe to the Daily AI Cut. We're here every day breaking down what actually matters.